This is the story of Ethan, who gets reincarnated as the 13th Imperial Prince. And guys, Ethan's power is infinite, meaning he can increase his strength as much as he wants. There's no limit to his power. So let's see how far Ethan pushes his strength. At the start of the story, when our hero opens his eyes, he sees a woman in front of him. He notices his hands have become like a child's, and then he checks his status. He's shocked to find he's back at level 1. Just then, a tall, broad man enters, the Emperor. The Emperor says, "He looks exactly like you." From these words, our hero gets even more confused. He can't understand what's happening to him. But guys, our hero has been reborn, and when it's time to name him, the Emperor names him Ethan Ararat, the 13th Prince of this kingdom. After this, the Emperor asks someone about his ability. The person says water, so the Emperor makes Ethan the heir to the Westmore Duchy, a place with many water clans. Then the Emperor says, "Show me his skills." After this, a priest named Marcus shows Ethan's status window. Guys, Ethan's water ability is double S rank. Seeing this, Ethan himself is surprised. Everyone present is also shocked because no one is born with S rank. And so our hero Ethan's story begins, where he's reborn as a noble prince. After this, we learn that the Purple Fire Empire is a warriors nation spread across a huge mountain range, where very wealthy people live, and the Emperor has more than 10 sons called Imperial Princes. Then we see that Ethan is 6 years old. Other people see his status window like this, but Ethan sees it as E plus S, and this S rank is for water. But Ethan has another ability. The more people trust him and become his subordinates, the stronger he becomes, and there's no limit to this level, meaning he can become as powerful as he wants. Now, after getting Ethan ready, his maids praise him, saying what a good child he is, completely different from the others. Then, while Ethan is having breakfast, a maid named Clara comes and tells him that the Crown Prince and the 4th Prince have come to meet him. Hearing this, Ethan goes to meet his brothers. And guys, this is the 2nd Prince and also Crown Prince Sebastian. And this is 4th Prince Harry. Sebastian says, "Ethan, we brought a gift for you." Then a man enters nervously carrying a small coffin, and seeing what's inside, Ethan also gets nervous. Inside is a sword that has already killed countless people. Ethan wonders what kind of sword this is that the Crown Prince is giving him as a gift. And when Ethan lifts the sword, the Crown Prince smiles and says, "This sword is Leviathan, our empire's most powerful water magic sword. But there's something special about this sword. It chooses its own master, and if someone it doesn't choose tries to wield it, their death is certain. But this sword has chosen Ethan as its master." After this, the Crown Prince praises Ethan and leaves. Outside, 4th Prince Harry asks if giving him such a special sword was the right call. The Crown Prince says, "The sword chose him. That means he has the ability. It's better that the sword stays with him." Now, at night, Ethan asks his maid Clara why she looks so troubled today. Upon Ethan's insistence, Clara explains that her hometown has flooded, and since her mother's sick there, she can't work anymore. That's why Clara's relatives want her to work in the red light district in exchange for her mother. Hearing this, Ethan says, "How about we bring your mother to this mansion? There's plenty of work for her here. Also, there's a small house in the western Oscar area of the capital. You can live there with your mother." Seeing Ethan's kindness, Clara bursts into tears and kneels down to thank him. Ethan thinks to himself, "She's been serving me for years. I can't watch my servant work in a red light district. It's against my principles." And then Ethan tells his butler Oliver, Clara's hometown, Whitestone Town, has flooded. "I want you to buy as much land there as possible so we can help as many people as we can." But Oliver says, "But master, we'll need about 700,000 ren to buy land there." And then we learn that in the capital, an average person's annual income is only 120 ren. Ethan's retainers earn 8,000 ren annually. And even if Ethan combined all his assets, he'd only have 500,000 ren. They still need 200,000 more. So Ethan decides to sell his land in the south. Oliver says, "But that place was a gift from the Emperor. Selling it without his permission could cause trouble for you." Ethan says, "I'm ready to endure a little pain for my people's happiness." Hearing this, Oliver thanks Ethan because he's also from the same village as Clara. The next day, while Ethan is getting his work done, 4th Prince Harry comes to meet him. He asks if Ethan is going somewhere. Ethan explains he's going to a town called Whitestone Town to buy land. Then Harry asks if he's sensing anything from that sword. Ethan says no. Harry explains, "From what I know about that sword, it chooses its own master and doesn't listen to anyone else. People who try to forcibly take it get killed. That's why Harry tells him not to use the sword or he'll die." Now, in the next scene, we see these people have arrived at Whitestone Town. Here, Ethan tells Oliver to go to the government office and get a list of this village. "We'll give the people living here a new place to stay, and Clara, you come with me." After this, these two sneak deeper into the village, and helpless villagers are being given food from the Empire. But when Ethan tested himself, he sees there's nothing but water in the name of food. Just then, the local government officer Dorian arrives for inspection. The cooks tell him, Lord Dorian, your share of the food has been delivered to your mansion. But then Ethan arrives and says, so you guys are stealing these villagers' share of the food? But Dorian says, kid, don't you think you're talking beyond your height? I'm here helping these villagers by feeding these beggars. Saying this, Dorian and his companions start laughing. But then Ethan says, I don't like people who use their power to bully the weak. Hearing Ethan, an angry Dorian draws his sword. But the next moment, we see the sword Leviathan starts glowing and flies straight to Ethan. And when Dorian is about to attack Ethan with his sword, the sword shows its power. Its strength was so great that Ethan himself was having trouble controlling it. He starts getting injured here, but despite this, Ethan says, if we're born with more power in this world, we should use that power to help those whom God made weak. Saying this, Ethan grabs the sword and says, from now on, you're my sword, Leviathan. And just as Dorian is about to attack Ethan, Ethan cuts off his neck with the sword. Dorian's soldiers come to capture Ethan, but Ethan attacks and causes an explosion, creating a huge crater there. And then the leader of these knights arrives. The short guy says, save us, this kid has killed Lord Dorian. But seeing Ethan, a knight captain named Marcus kneels before him. We learn that Marcus was assigned to security in this area and is 4th Prince Harry's servant. And when everyone finds out this child is the 13th Imperial Prince, they're all shocked and kneel before him. Ethan explains that he killed Dorian because he was pocketing the villagers' share of food. I want these villagers to be given proper food now. Hearing this, all the villagers become very happy and start cheering for Ethan. But then, Crown Prince Sebastian learns about this. He says, so the sword chose Ethan as its master. He's more useful than I thought. After this, Ethan comes to the Emperor upon being summoned and tells him the whole incident. The Emperor says, you did very well, Ethan. Such people deserve the death penalty. By the way, I also heard that you've tamed the greatest water sword, Leviathan. And then, when the Emperor sees Ethan's status window, he's also shocked to see that Ethan's water rank has become triple S rank. Seeing this, the Emperor praises Ethan, which makes Ethan very happy. After this, we learn that the Purple Fire Empire's capital is the center of the nation's government, meaning it's the most financially stable area in the entire empire. The people here are so financially stable that they call this place the most prosperous city in the world. And today, Ethan has come here because he heard rumors about a singer with an incredibly melodious voice. Here, Ethan also highly praises Clara's work, saying how brilliant she is, paying attention to every little detail. After this, Ethan arrives at the place where the singer is performing, and he listens to her sing. He looks up at the girl from above. Clara tells him her name is Melody, and she's very skilled in the art of singing. But then, a bald guy comes up on stage from the audience and says, don't you think you're wasting your time singing here? You'll never be able to pay off your father's debt by singing here. And then, this bald guy touches Melody inappropriately, saying, you have such a nice figure. I have another way you can pay off your father's debt much faster. But then Ethan comes toward them and says, have you people forgotten that under Imperial Law 67, Article 2, it's clearly written that children don't need to pay their parents' debts, and what you're trying to do to her is a crime. But then this bald guy grabs Ethan's collar and curses at him. Ethan draws his sword and injures this bald guy and his goons right there, after which all three run away scared. Then Ethan tells Melody, if these people bother you again, let me know. And then everyone is shocked to learn that this small child is an imperial prince. After this, Ethan tells Melody, I know about you. You also have to bear the cost of your mother's treatment. How about you work for me? I'll give you 25 Ren per month. You just focus on improving your singing ability. Hearing this, Melody happily thanks Ethan. After this, when Ethan arrives at his mansion, he sees some people at the gate and asks who they are. Clara explains that they claim to be lenders. Seeing them, Ethan recognizes them as the same people who were harassing Melody. But they've come to apologize to Ethan for their misbehavior. However, Ethan says he doesn't have time to meet these people. Just then, 4th Prince Harry arrives and says, that's a very good decision. Meeting such people doesn't befit any prince. Now, after this, sitting and talking together, Ethan explains that he's not meeting those lenders also, so they keep feeling that a prince is angry with them, so they won't bother Melody. Hearing this, Harry says, you're really very smart. Frank and Gary are around your age too, but they don't think like you. Especially Gary, he's taking a lot of time to learn things. After this, we learn that although all these imperial princes are brothers, they have different mothers. But Gary and Harry are full brothers, so their bond is much deeper. After this, Harry says, it looks like you've made that magic sword your slave. It's not too difficult for you to use it, is it? But then we see that Ethan summons his sword. Seeing this, Harry is also surprised, and then Ethan shrinks the sword to the size of a kitchen knife. After this, we learn that this sword has been with them for the past 200 years, but no one knows what abilities it has. After this, we see that the people kneeling in front of Ethan's mansion are still there when night falls. Because of this, the bald guy gets angry and starts cursing Ethan. But then Harry and Ethan arrive, and under the pressure of Ethan's sword, this bald guy falls to his knees. Now, in the next scene, we see Ethan arriving at some place. Maybe he's come here for some party, and with Ethan is this guy named Gareth. As soon as Ethan arrives, everyone applauds to welcome him and praises him a lot. And then everyone is shocked to learn that Ethan has the national treasure, the strongest sword Leviathan, which the Crown Prince gave him as a gift. But then a guy says it's probably a duplicate. So now Ethan demonstrates his sword's power here, which terrifies everyone. And then Gareth praises Ethan, saying, "You're amazing and your sword has amazing power." And after this, everyone is convinced that this is the real Leviathan sword. And guys, the guy who was taunting Ethan was still scared. After this, we see many people coming to greet Ethan. There were many big people here, many big businessmen, many big traders, and here, Ethan recognizes a father and daughter just by looking and knows the daughter is adopted. Besides this, Ethan also says other things, like this girl was previously a slave. The man says, "You said absolutely right. I bought her as a slave, but she's very smart. That's why I'm now teaching her things like my own daughter." Ethan says, "I'm very pleased to hear your words. I'll invite you to my mansion sometime." Hearing this, the father and daughter thank Ethan and start to leave because Ethan gave them attention. So now the attention of the other people shifts to this father and daughter. And after this, as soon as Ethan touches his sword, this girl feels it. Ethan says, "Ever since I started using my sword, that girl has been protecting that man," meaning she's much more capable than she appears. Now, in the next scene, when Ethan comes to the market, he sees the 8th Prince Felix there. Felix stops and asks Ethan what he's doing here. Ethan explains he was just wandering around. Felix says, "If you don't have any other work, why don't you come on a treasure hunt with me?" After this, these two come to Cobalt Street. Guys, there are many antique things in this area. After this, these two try to find something good here, but they don't find anything. But Ethan buys a book here. Felix is surprised to see that it's the Grimoire of Andrea, a legendary sorcerer's grimoire. This is a genuine treasure. And then Ethan draws his sword and places it on the book. The grimoire opens and a huge amount of magical power comes out of it, a strange black power with its own consciousness. Seeing this, Felix is also stunned because this is the spirit of that great sorcerer who had controlled the wind. But Ethan fights it. He strikes it with his sword, creating a huge amount of pressure. And then the grimoire chooses Ethan as its master, which increases Ethan's rank. Seeing this, Felix also wonders when he became so powerful. Just then, a guy arrives and says, "I run an antique shop in this area. My name is Victor, and Prince, seeing your ability, I want to show you an article that you might like." After this, the guy brings both of them to his shop and shows them a ring, saying, "The person I bought this ring from told me that this ring would choose its own master, but it never responded to anyone. That's why I thought it was trash, but whenever I threw it away, this ring would come back to me." After this, Ethan tries on the ring and it starts glowing. Ethan hears a voice saying, "You are now my new master." And then the ring transforms into armor. But Ethan sees that there's no change in his status window. Ethan says, "I'll pay you the price for this ring soon." But Felix says, "You don't worry about it. I'll buy this ring for you. Consider it a gift from me." Now, after this, we see Felix drops Ethan off with Clara. Ethan thanks his brother Felix, but then this bald guy arrives to attack Ethan, but Ethan creates a shield with his music ring to protect himself, and then this bald guy is captured. And after this, we learn that Ethan has linked this ring with his sword. Felix is surprised to see that Ethan mastered this ring so quickly. After this, Ethan comes to watch Melody's performance, and we learn that the bald guy's game is now over, the one who attacked Ethan. But here we see that someone was harassing Melody and a fight was about to break out between two guys over Melody. But then Ethan arrives in the middle and teaches both of them a lesson with his sword. After which, both of them run away from there. But then Ethan tells the owner of this hall not to let those people in again. But the owner says, "It's because of people like them that my business runs. If I stop them from coming, then Ethan says, 'I'll buy your business.' And then Ethan gives the owner 1,000 ren. Melody says, 'Prince, how will I ever repay this debt? You're doing so much for me.' Ethan says, 'I like hearing your voice. Just keep singing, and that's how all your debt will be paid off.' Hearing this, Melody tears up with joy, and for the first time, we get to see her beautiful eyes. After this, Ethan sits back down, and then Melody starts singing her song. Ethan thinks to himself, "I was absolutely right. This girl is no less than a treasure." Now, in the next scene, while Ethan is getting ready, he's told that the Governor General of Falling Star City, Dad Marley, has come to meet him. Ethan says, "Let him in." After this, we learn that in the royal family, whenever a prince is born, he's given some kind of duchy so he can learn from a young age how to rule. The people living in that duchy consider that prince their king, and Dad Marley, who was born in the Ravenspire duchy, also considers Ethan his king. Now, after this, a conversation happens between them. We learn that about a year and a half ago, Ethan met Dad for the first time when the Emperor appointed Dad as Governor General. Ethan asks, As far as I know, you were sent to manage the situation in Falling Star City after the flood. We learned that Falling Star City is an area where crops grow very well, but because it's close to water, it often gets submerged due to floods. And Dad has now come with a problem. Dad explains that they haven't received funding for quite some time, which has stalled their work. Now, Ethan takes Dad with him to the Minister of Finance. Yes, this same bald and fat guy. His name is Maverick. Ethan asks, why isn't Dad getting funding for his work? I want to know the reason. Maverick says, Falling Star City gets flooded every year. That's why our kind emperor has almost eliminated taxes for this town, and that's why I think these people should use the money saved from those taxes, music, for their work. But Ethan says, the emperor waived their taxes because these people didn't have money in the first place. And when these people don't have money, what are they going to use? So now Maverick says, but we don't have even a single penny to send them right now. You must remember that our emperor is getting older day by day. That's why we're building a villa for him for the summers where he won't feel any heat and will feel cool in the summer. And building that villa requires a lot of money. That's why I don't have any spare money to give to Dad. But Ethan says, what nonsense are you talking about? A village where everything has been destroyed by flood, and instead of helping them, we're building a villa? Do me and my father look like fools to you that will believe your words? Hearing this, Maverick bows before Ethan and says, that's not what I meant. Please don't worry at all. I'll arrange the funding for them as soon as possible. Seeing Ethan's ability to talk, Dad says, you're truly amazing, Prince. You brought the finance minister to his knees with just your words. I'll always be grateful for this favor. After this, Dad leaves for his work, and then a guy comes with a message for Ethan that the emperor has summoned him. And after this, when Ethan reaches the emperor says, you've handled the Falling Star City matter very well. Ethan says, I just did what anyone else would do. But the emperor places his hand on Ethan's head and says, you said it right, but for a 6-year-old child to handle things so well is almost impossible in my eyes. By the way, this is Leviathan, the strongest water sword, and it has chosen you as its master. But its history isn't very good. Anyway, I've called an instructor here who's an expert in swordsmanship. And after this, we see the kingdom's greatest swordsman, Donovan Noble. The emperor says, you'll learn swordsmanship from him. But then Donovan says, Your Majesty, if you permit, I'd like to have a small match with the prince so I can test his ability. Now, after this, Donovan says, Prince, you can attack me however you want. And when Ethan attacks, Donovan stops his attack very easily. And then Ethan starts remembering Leviathan's memories, like how its previous master used to wield Leviathan. And after this, while fighting Donovan, Ethan throws his sword far away. After which Donovan says, Your Majesty, please forgive me, but I don't have the ability to teach the prince. The prince may only be 6 years old, but he has a wonderful ability. Hearing this, the emperor laughs and says, You're truly incredible, Ethan. How about I make you the head of this year's knight selection exam? Ethan says, I'll live up to your expectations, Your Majesty. And after this, we learn that the Knight Selection Exam is an event where participants come from across the Empire, and through this exam, warriors are chosen for the Empire. In this exam, 2 people fight each other, and whoever wins is called to the capital for the final battle. Whoever comes first in this exam gets the title of Knight. Also, they directly join the upper ranks, and then that Knight's first job is to become a subordinate of the head judge, meaning Ethan could get a very talented Knight for himself. After which Ethan says, if the Emperor permits, I'd like to do the selection and judgment of those knights while staying in the capital so I can personally choose every powerful warrior for this exam. The Emperor gives Ethan permission for this. Now, in the next scene, at his mansion, Ethan asks Clara if there are any warriors in her village who want to participate in the Knight Selection Exam. Clara explains that, yes, every year one warrior is sent from her village for this exam, and only one warrior is sent from their village because they don't have enough funds for more warriors' travel and expenses. Hearing this, Ethan says, I want to personally choose how many warriors in your village are worthy of this exam. If I like more warriors, I'll bear their traveling and expenses myself. After this, Ethan calls Oliver and says, buy all the empty houses in the capital. We'll build a dormitory for those warriors to stay in. And hearing Ethan's words, Clara is impressed by him. Now, after this, Ethan meets this guy. You'll remember, Ethan met this guy at a party, and this guy will let Ethan's guest warriors stay at his hotel for a very low price. But Ethan understands that no merchant ever makes a losing deal. That's why he asks him, what do you really want? This guy says, you're truly amazing. At such a young age, you understand these things so well. Going forward, this guy explains that just like the Knight Selection Exam, there's a Palace Employment Exam, and he wants to know what kind of people are hired in this exam. Meaning this guy wants to get his daughter a job at the palace so he can get information about what's going on there. Also, if the emperor chooses his daughter for a knight, that would bring him huge profit too. Now, after this, Ethan says, first, I want to know which girl you want to get the job for. If I like her, only then will I help you. Now, Ethan has shown his greatness here. That's why this guy and his daughter bow down to thank him, and this guy says, "Prince, I ask your permission to put a sign of your crest at my store." Ethan says, "By doing that, you'll completely come under me, and I never tolerate betrayal." But the guy agrees to this. In the next scene, we see that after making Byron his subordinate, Ethan's stats have increased. But then he notices that one of his stats has decreased. Maybe something happened in Ravenspire. "Clara, I'm going to meet the Emperor. You go back to the palace." And after this, Ethan tells the Emperor that something's wrong in Ravenspire. Just then, a guy comes and gives the Emperor some message. After which, the Emperor says, "You said absolutely right, Ethan. Some people have rebelled in Ravenspire. What do you think? How many people are there?" Ethan thinks for a moment and says, "I think their group isn't very big right now." The Emperor says, 5,000 people are involved in this rebellion, and it happened in your duchy. So will you face this rebellion yourself? Ethan says, "I'm too young right now to handle such a big responsibility. It would be better if you send one of my older brothers." The Emperor says, "I didn't expect such an answer from you, but fine. Let's do as you say. So who should we send?" Ethan suggests 4th Prince Harry because he fully trusts Harry's ability. The Emperor says, "Very good. Now, in the next scene, we see Ethan and Harry traveling somewhere in a horse carriage. Harry says, "I think you should have fought this battle yourself. I'm sure you would have won, and it would have been a huge achievement for you that would have benefited you a lot." Ethan says, "I might have won, but many soldiers would have died because of my orders." And the next moment, Ethan senses something and stops the carriage. Guys, Ethan has sensed that the rebels are nearby. Now, after this, as soon as he steps out, some traps unlock and capture him, and then some people surround Ethan. But we see that Ethan is completely unharmed. He had protected himself with several shields. And after this, Ethan draws his sword and starts fighting them. He very easily defeats all the traitors present there. After which, Harry says, "You've become even more powerful than before. By the way, how nice it would have been if we could have interrogated them." Ethan explains that they're not dead, they're alive. "I've just knocked them out with Leviathan's power." After this, we learn that there aren't many war horses in Ravenspire, meaning horses that people ride into battle. The next day, Ethan meets Bruce and asks him, "You do business in Ravenspire too, right? Now, what I'm about to tell you, if you tell anyone, your death is certain. Some people have rebelled in Ravenspire, and I've learned that there are many cavalrymen there, meaning warriors who fight on horseback. I'm giving you 10,000 rent. Go and buy all the horses present in my duchy." And guys, according to 4th Prince Harry, the horses that the rebels in Ravenspire bought were from somewhere else, not from Ravenspire. Bruce says, "But if I buy all the soldiers' rations, then they'll start stealing." But that's exactly what Ethan wanted. Ethan made a very good plan so his brother would have an easier time fighting the rebels. Now, in the next scene, we see Ethan with the Emperor, and from the assassins Ethan had defeated, the Emperor got some information, like how those assassins were going to kidnap Ethan so they could extract a huge amount from the Emperor in exchange for Ethan. Ethan says, "But they can't confess all this so easily. Maybe they're lying." The Emperor says, "Don't worry, we'll find out whether they're telling the truth or lying. And anyway, it's a very good thing you weren't kidnapped. Otherwise, the Empire would have been in big trouble. And by the way, your plan to buy horses is quite good." Ethan is surprised that the Emperor found out about his plan so quickly. After which the Emperor says, "Crown Prince Sebastian had suggested to me that I should leave those rebels to starve to death. But if I do that, those traitors could attack our people, which wouldn't be good at all. But truly, your plan is praiseworthy. I think I should give you some reward. Fine, I'll issue a sword edition on your crest." Guys, adding a sword means a warrior's symbol, and creating such a symbol without the Emperor's permission is punishable by death. But if the Emperor himself permits it, it's one of the greatest honors. That's why Ethan thanks the Emperor here. Now, after this, Ethan meets Bruce, who was waiting for him. He tells Ethan that he's done the work Ethan gave him. Going further, he says that the leader of those rebels is Carfoon. Carfoon is someone who can go to any extent to achieve his goal. That's why I'd say, "Prince, please be careful." And just then, a maid comes and tells Ethan that an injured man is at the main gate and wants to give him an urgent report. After this, Ethan meets that guy. "I serve as a knight in Adora of Ravenspire, and I've come to tell you that the rebellion has started in Ravenspire and those people have attacked us." Ethan says, "Thank you for telling me. Now get him treated, and as a reward, give him not 500 but 1,000 ren." Hearing this, Bruce says to Ethan, "That news wasn't even that useful to you. Why are you giving him such a big reward?" But Ethan says he's just an ordinary knight who risked his life to bring me this report. I can at least reward him for his loyalty. Now, after this, in the evening, Clara comes to Ethan looking a bit troubled and gives him a pouch of money containing 500 ren. She also shows him a sleeping drug, and both these things were given to her by a man she doesn't know. That man had told her to mix this drug into Ethan's tea, and as a reward, music, he gave Clara these 500 ren. Ethan realizes this is the rebels' doing, but he asks, "Why did you bring all this to me?" Clara says, "Here, you've done so much for me, for my mother, and for my village. I couldn't betray you. But those people say that if I don't do their work, they'll kill me. But despite that, I couldn't betray you." Hearing this, Ethan gives Clara a reward. It's praiseworthy that you didn't betray me. So as a reward, I'm just adding a 0 to the amount they gave you. There's one more thing you need to do for me. She asks, what do I need to do for you? Ethan says, I'm going to drink this drug. Then when I fall asleep, take me to them. And after that, run away from there immediately. Guys, maybe Ethan has made some plan. Now, in the next scene, we see that Ethan has been kidnapped, and when he regains consciousness, his hands and feet are tied. But Ethan has both his ring and his sword with him, and here he very easily cuts his ropes. And after this, through Leviathan's memories, he sees what happened to him. After he passed out, some people came and kidnapped him, bringing him here in a horse carriage. And after this, Ethan stands up to fight these traitors. Seeing Ethan, these traitors say, last time your brother saved you. This time, no one's coming to save you. But Ethan very easily finishes off one assassin and says, maybe you people are in too much of a hurry to die. And after this, Ethan starts fighting them. Ethan was finishing them all off with his sword, and shortly after, Clara also arrives there with several soldiers. And then we learn that Ethan had told Clara to stay hidden, but Clara was so worried about Ethan that she came here herself with some soldiers to help him. After this, Ethan says, take all of them prisoner. But while doing so, one assassin's sword falls. So a soldier is about to pick up that sword. But Ethan shouts and stops him from doing so, and then tells them all to move a little further away. Because guys, Ethan was sensing a very dangerous dark power from that sword. A curse is placed on this sword, and with Leviathan's help, Ethan can sense it. After this, Ethan draws his sword and says, maybe it would be easier for you if you're the strongest water sword. And after this, the Leviathan sword releases its power. It goes up into the sky at very high speed, reaches space, finds a man, and eliminates him. Maybe this man was the mastermind behind everything. After which, in the next scene, Ethan meets the Emperor, and the Emperor praises Ethan a lot, saying that last night the leader of the rebels was killed, and he knows Ethan did it. And after their leader's death, the remaining rebels also surrendered very easily. The Emperor will personally punish everyone involved in this rebellion. The Emperor announces his decision and gives them a punishment. Saying this, he says, they had the audacity to rebel in your duchy, for which they'll receive the harshest punishment. But then Ethan says, Your Majesty, I would like you not to kill them. Hearing this, the Emperor is surprised and asks, what do you mean? Ethan says, we'll punish them legally. According to the law, only the rebel leaders receive the death penalty. That's why I think the Empire should punish the rebels according to the law. Hearing Ethan, everyone present in the hall goes silent. The Emperor says, you said it right. Everything should run according to the law, but giving these people a small punishment won't be enough. Within the bounds of the law, we'll give them the harshest punishment. Ethan says, as you say, Your Majesty. Now, after this, the Emperor gives First Prime Minister Edmund the task of handling this entire matter. After this, everyone in the hall starts praising Ethan. After which, the Emperor says, you stopped me from breaking the law. I will definitely give you a reward for this. I want to give you a title. And based on what I've come to know about you so far, I give you the title The Voice, meaning the title of wisdom. And guys, this title gets registered in Ethan's status window. And after this, the same voice echoes throughout the hall. Long live the Vice Prince. After which the Emperor says, by the way, Ethan, the night selection exam is going to happen soon. Have you decided how you're going to give your judgment? Ethan explains that he has a plan, and in the next scene, Ethan tells the Emperor about how he'll give his judgment. Ethan asks the guy to attack him personally. Ethan stops his attack by creating a shield. And in the same way, he stops everyone else's attacks too. And after this, Ethan says, I'll ask all the participants to attack me like this, and I'll judge them based on how close their attack gets to me. The Emperor says, the method is quite good. But there's a lot of risk in this. If someone's attack breaks through your defense, you could get hurt. But Ethan explains that he's already prepared for this. And hearing this, the Emperor says, you are certainly very smart. After all, you're my son. Ethan just thanks the Emperor. After this, we're shown a mansion. And here we see First Prime Minister Edmund telling the Emperor, Your Majesty, I think you want to make Prince Ethan your heir. The Emperor says, I do want to, but I can't do it even if I want to because the law doesn't say so. But he truly has amazing ability. Also, that sword of his has terrifying power in it. But according to old legends, Leviathan has a seal on it that should never be broken, or doomsday will come. But I think Ethan is special. He can handle that sword. Now, in the next scene, we're told that the Knight Selection Exam is the Empire's biggest annual event. And as we already know, this Empire's name is the Purple Fire Empire. But Miraz is an ancient word that means warrior, meaning the Purple Fire Empire is a warrior's empire. And the judge for this year's Knight Selection Exam is our Ethan. After which, we see a man showing his ability by attacking Ethan. But Ethan creates a shield with his magic. The guy's sword breaks from it. We also see that the Emperor himself is watching this year's Knight Selection Exam because he wants to see what kind of warriors Ethan chooses. Now, after this, a participant shows his terrifying firepower. But this doesn't affect Ethan either, and in the same way, this participant is also out. Now, it's evening like this. The last participant of the day is a girl. And guys, this girl breaks Ethan's shield with her sword. But then this girl gets caught because she tried to harm the prince, meaning she almost injured him. But then Ethan stops the guards and announces that this girl has passed this exam. Hearing this, tears of joy come to this girl's eyes. By the way, this girl's name is Charlene. Now, in the next scene, we see Ethan talking to Charlene. Ethan praises Charlene's ability and asks her to attack him again. Charlene follows Ethan's orders and attacks Ethan again, but this time, Charlene can't break Ethan's shield. Ethan says, "If I had wanted to stop your attack back then, I could have done it very easily. I wanted to test your ability, and I was very happy to see that you're exactly like a true knight. You follow your master's orders without any questions." Hearing this, Charlene says, "You are truly amazing, Prince. I, Charlene Grant, swear that from today until my dying breath, I will serve you." Guys, Ethan's stats have also increased here. Just then, Clara brings the Empire's best doctor, Mr. Cruz. And after this, the doctor treats Ethan. Guys, Ethan had gotten a very deep injury from Charlene's attack. And after this, as soon as Charlene tells Ethan that there's no doctor or anything in her village, Ethan asks, "So, when you get injured or fall sick, how do you people treat yourselves?" Charlene explains that the elders in her village pray to God. Now, hearing this, Ethan orders Charlene to bring the most sensible people from her village to him. And Mr. Cruz, please make some of them your disciples so they can learn how to treat people too. Seeing Ethan's kindness, Charlene gets emotional and bows down to thank him. Now, the next morning after waking up, Charlene puts on her armor. After this, Charlene first meets Clara. These two say hello to each other, but then these two see some maids talking about who that lucky girl will be who will marry their master. Guys, all the other princes had gotten married by age 14 or 15, but Ethan is only 6 years old right now, after which these maids praise their master Ethan even more, saying they've never seen a more kind prince than him. By the way, Clara, you also like the master, don't you? You recently started learning magic for the master too. Hearing this, Clara says shyly, "I just want to be useful to the master." Now, in the next scene, we see that the knight selection exam is over, and some very talented warriors have been chosen through Ethan's unique method. Now, after this, Ethan orders Charlene to escort these gentlemen who have brought the reports of the remaining warriors outside. Now, outside, Charlene bows before these gentlemen and says, "Thank you for coming here yourself to give this report." Seeing this, the gentlemen say, "There's no need to bow like this. We're both knights." And while leaving, the gentlemen also give Charlene some advice that as long as she's with the prince, she'll never go down the wrong path, after which they leave from here. Now, in the evening, we see that a party is happening. Melody has come to sing at this party, and here we see Byron and his adopted daughter Cindy. These two congratulate Ethan for the knight selection exam. Ethan says, "Now you two should enjoy this party. By the way, I should mention that there are many merchants at this party who have very deep ties with the 13th prince's house." Byron says, "I understand what you're saying. I'll definitely befriend them." Right there, as soon as Melody's performance ends, everyone applauds for her. But then, Clara comes to Ethan with a letter for him. Now, after this, we learn that the guy who brought this letter ran away right after delivering it. After reading the letter, Ethan finds out that the rebels in Ravenspire are still around, and they're probably up to some new trick. Ethan realizes here that the guy who got this letter to him is the same knight who had brought him important information before. And guys, now this knight is doing underground investigation on this matter himself. But Ethan knows this could be very dangerous for him. He could even lose his life. My older brother Harry is still around that area. I should write him a letter. But then, in the next scene, we learn that that soldier had been captured. And Willis showed him no mercy at all. Prince Harry saved him, but his condition is very bad right now. Ethan blames himself for all this and orders Clara to send a message to Ravenspire that no matter what happens, that soldier's life must be saved. Guys, Ethan wanted to save that loyal soldier's life at any cost. Now, the next day, Ethan and Charlene come to the market. Ethan has come here to buy a gift for his brother Harry because his brother helped him a lot. Now, after this, Ethan comes to a shop. The shopkeeper shows him many things, but Ethan's eye falls on something different. After this, Ethan sees that it's a very beautiful statue made of glass. It's a very expensive statue made by a legendary artisan named Lintz, and only 2 more such statues exist in this world. Ethan buys this wonderful piece of art. Just then, the 8th Prince Felix Ararat arrives. As soon as he finds out Ethan is here, he comes to meet him. But seeing that goddess statue, his eyes stop on it. And guys, because there are only 2 such statues in this whole world. So one statue is this one, and one statue Felix already has. But knowing this, Ethan drops the statue and breaks it. And after this, he says, spread the rumor everywhere that the second goddess statue was found, but it was broken. And because of Ethan doing this, the price of the goddess statue that Felix has is going to skyrocket. Felix says, you're really very smart, my brother. After Felix leaves, Ethan starts looking at other gifts. Now, in the next scene, while leaving, Charlene says, ever since I came to you, you've just been surprising me. Today you broke such a valuable treasure just like that. Ethan says, it was just a lifeless piece of glass. It didn't have much special value in my eyes. Loyal people matter more to me because in real terms, the real treasure is good people. And you're also included among my valuable treasures, Charlene. Hearing this, Charlene becomes very happy and says, you are truly amazing, Prince. I swear I'll serve you until my dying breath. And then guys, the story jumps straight ahead by 6 years. We see that Ethan is now 12 years old, smarter, wiser, more clever, and more powerful than before. Now, in the next scene, we see that during breakfast, there was a line at Ethan's palace. Guys, 3 days ago was Ethan's birthday, but so many people came to give birthday gifts that even 3 days later, this line of people is still here. But the thing is, Ethan can't just accept any gift like that. Ethan demands all the information about what the gift is and who sent it. After which, we learn that Ethan has completely mastered the Leviathan sword. And guys, Ethan's ability is so much better that he's been made in charge of the Ministry of Military Affairs through an imperial order. And guys, the Minister of Military Affairs is 4th Prince Harry, and Harry calls Ethan here. To consult with him about something, they've received an imperial command in which they've been told that near the southern border, there's a group of rebels and they have to stop those people. And guys, these gentlemen's name is Race Kiki, who is Harry's direct subordinate, and under his leadership, they'll go to fight the enemy. Now, Ethan asks him a question here. How many soldiers' army are you going to lead? Race can't answer this question. Harry asks, what are you hiding, Race? And the very next moment, Race bows down and apologizes to Harry. Now look, the thing is that in the Imperial force, whatever soldiers are recruited, they get their monthly salary from the Ministry of Military Affairs. So many times the generals do this thing where they get random people's names written in the soldier list too, so that those generals get more funding for all those soldiers so they can keep that extra money for themselves. And this is exactly what Mr. Race was doing. But for this, Ethan doesn't punish Race at all because in a way, it's actually good. If the enemy feels that their enemy has more soldiers, their courage breaks. After which Ethan says, however many extra soldiers you've added to the soldiers list, now arrange for that many soldiers as soon as possible. And after this, Ethan gives Harry a letter to deliver to the Ministry of Military Affairs so that those people will give them even more funding, which means that the extra soldiers that come to them, they'll be able to take good care of them too. Now, after this, we see Harry and Ethan going somewhere in a horse carriage, and here we learn that despite being 12 years old, Ethan's level is 1, and this is because of a rule in the Imperial family. Guys, as soon as an Imperial Prince is born, many enemies start coming after his life, and because an Imperial Prince's life is very valuable. That's why until they become an adult, they're not allowed to go to war. Now, these people were going like this, but then suddenly a girl appears in front of their horse carriage and asks them for help. Some more girls come running behind her, then some people come and catch these little girls. But here, no one comes forward to help these girls. That's why now Ethan himself comes out to stop them, and he says to them, so you people do the work of selling slaves. By the way, do you have permission for this? But then we see that those people attack Ethan. But Ethan very easily defeats all 3 of them with his sword, seeing which everyone is stunned. And after this, he asks these girls, are you all okay? But then we see that this girl starts crying. But then a weird old man comes here. Greetings, Vice Prince. I'm the guy who sells these girls to make a living. By the way, I work for First Prince Gilbert. Guys, Ethan realizes that this man is using First Prince Gilbert's name to scare him so that he doesn't get in his way. That's why Ethan now knocks this old man unconscious with his sword's power and says, look at this old man's audacity. He says he serves the First Prince. And after this, Ethan orders that all these people be arrested and taken to the First Prince's estate to be punished. And these children can come to my mansion for some time. Now, seeing how well Ethan handled this whole matter, Harry praises him. Now, in the next scene, during dinner, Ethan gets a message from Prince Gilbert. Gilbert thanks Ethan and says, I interrogated those people myself. They were wrongly using my name, but I sent them to court before they all took their own lives. After which Harry says, this is all Gilbert's doing. He's doing quite a lot of things like this, buying shops, buying land, and other such things. But Ethan says, we can't blame him for this because even though Gilbert is the first prince, he's a concubine's son, and that's why the throne can't be his, and that's why now he just wants to increase his power as much as possible. Harry is once again amazed by Ethan's understanding. Now, after this, Ethan meets those children and tells them, now you won't be sold anywhere. You're free now. But these children explain that there's no place they can go. All of them were sold by their families for one reason or another. Knowing this, Ethan says, Oliver, from today, all of them will work under me. Arrange good jobs and living for all of them. And after this, Ethan tells them, you all can stay here as long as you want and you can leave whenever you want. But remember one thing, never betray me. After this, Oliver takes the children away from here. Now, the next day, Ethan calls Clara and gives her a document saying this, I want you to become an administrator in a small region in Ravenspire, meaning Clara will become a government officer. Now, after this, we learn that the duchy the emperor gave Ethan is very large. Even if he wanted to, Ethan alone can't keep an eye on every town, every village, every area. That's why he chooses administrators, such people whom he makes the ruler of any one area. But guys, even after this promotion, Clara says she wants to stay here and work for Ethan. Ethan says, you're very capable, Clara. You can't help me as much by staying here as you can by going where I'm sending you. Clara understands what Ethan means and leaves this mansion. After Clara leaves, Charlene says, he's truly amazing. Now, in the next scene, we see Ethan in the courtroom before the emperor. And guys, Gilbert told the emperor that catching those cunning, dishonest people was very good work by Ethan. And by doing this, Gilbert wants to show himself as very clean and proper. Now, after this, the emperor asks, I heard those criminals tried to attack you. Are you okay? Ethan explains that he's completely fine. After which the emperor says, if I went undercover to inspect an area and someone suddenly attacked me, maybe I couldn't have stopped their attack and my real identity would have been revealed to everyone. Then those people would have gotten a very harsh punishment, right? Because they would have attacked the imperial family. Everyone laughs and says, yes, absolutely, your majesty, those people would get the death penalty. But Ethan says, no, because your majesty was undercover, meaning at that time, you were just an ordinary person. And at that time, that person attacked an ordinary person for which he would get the same punishment as anyone gets for fighting with a normal person, not the death penalty. But as soon as he says this, silence spreads throughout the courtroom. Ethan thinks whether he made some mistake by saying this, and the very next moment, the emperor laughs and says, I won the bet. The first prime minister says, yes, absolutely, I underestimated the vice prince. Guys, these two had a bet on whether Ethan could properly describe the imperial rules even before the emperor. But Ethan doesn't understand why the emperor did this. After which, the emperor says, I appoint Ethan Ararat as our Minister of Justice. Meaning, guys, after 4th Prince Harry, Ethan has become a Minister Prince. After which, Ethan's name starts echoing throughout the courtroom. Now, after this, Ethan comes to Melody's performance. But sitting here, he was thinking, what is all this happening? What's the motive behind the Emperor's decision? But then Ethan doesn't think much about this and starts enjoying Melody's song. And after this, we're shown some more scenes that everything is running so well. Now, in the next scene, we see the first Prime Minister and the Emperor. Here, the Emperor says, maybe that report is absolutely true. You handle this matter because now maybe the time has come. After which, in the next scene, we see Ethan coming to the headquarters of the Ministry of Justice, and here he meets the Vice Minister of Justice. This gentleman's name is Rupert. Ethan asks Rupert about his duties. Rupert explains that Ethan has two main jobs here. First, coordinating with all the courthouses of the empire. Also, the ministry itself interrogates people who commit treason, meaning we can consider the ministry as a common courthouse, where people are sentenced for their crimes. Knowing this, Ethan says, this means bribes are given here too. How much bribe do you take? Rupert panics and says, I don't do anything like that. Ethan says, I'm not asking to prove you wrong. I just want to know the whole truth. After this, Ethan says, I don't take too much bribe, just about 100 Ren a year, but the people working under me earn 10 times more than me because they take bribes on every single case. But I have some principles. I don't take bribes on murder cases. After this, he gives Rupert a note and says, from your words, it seems you take around 500 Ren in bribes annually, but I pay you 10 times more money. Now, as long as I'm here, you won't take any bribe. After which, Ethan says, now I understand why the king chose you for the Ministry of Justice at such a young age. I won't take this extra money from you, and from now on, I won't take bribes either. I just want to work with you now. In the next scene at night, we see Ethan having dinner with Prince Felix. And here, Felix has thrown a pretty big celebration party for Ethan because now Ethan has become the Minister of Justice. But we see that here Ethan was thinking, why did the king make him the Minister of Justice? Because if we talk about Harry, he has amazing leadership power, which he shows quite well on the battlefield. But Ethan doesn't have anything like that. Because of this, he talks to his brother Felix about this, and as soon as Felix understands a pattern, he gets shocked and says, the king wants to make you crown prince. Just then, a butler comes and gives Felix a message, and now Felix tells Ethan, tomorrow, the king is going to declare me Minister of Finance in the assembly. Maybe he's doing this for all of us, not just for you. After which, these two brothers continue their celebration. But then we're shown another place where quite a lot of soldiers surround several people. After this, we get to know that these people were making a quick plan from which the king would fall sick and die, and then the new king would become crown prince. And this information, the first prime minister gives to the king. Now, the king understands that behind this is Sebastian's hand. He wants to get the throne as soon as possible, but they have no proof of this matter. And after this, these two talk to each other. The king says, "Believe me, you Ethan are very wise. Neither Gilbert nor Sebastian is right for the throne. I'm quite worried about who is worthy of the throne, Harry, Felix, or Ethan. And to decide this, I will give them a trial. Whoever wins that trial will become the next king." The next day, Ethan finds out about the conspiracy that was being hatched against the king. He immediately understands that behind all this is the crown prince's hand, because however many people were caught in this, they are all the crown prince's people. After this, we get to know that whenever any member of the imperial family commits a crime, they don't get any major punishment for it. But there's one exception: rebellion. If any member of the imperial family rebels in any way, their punishment is only death. But if Sebastian is removed from the way, the one who benefits the most is third Prince Kiero. He would be chosen as the next king. After this, Ethan punishes all those people who were involved in this conspiracy. About this, Ethan goes and tells the king. He tells the king that the leader of those traitors will be cut from the middle and the rest will be beheaded, and these people will be executed the very next day after the punishment is announced. And Ethan is doing this so that Sebastian's name doesn't come out, because it's possible that if too much waiting is done, some mess might happen in between. The king is happy with Ethan and adds 1,000 land to Ethan's annual salary. And going to Ethan says, "I have a lot of hopes from you. I hope you live up to those hopes." Friends, the king also doesn't want Sebastian's name to come in front of the public because this could be quite damaging for the empire. But after this, when Ethan reaches back at headquarters, here he sees quite a lot of soldiers wounded. One soldier tells him that the intruders are still inside. But saying this, he too dies. Ethan orders Seraphina, "Gather all our companions, and except for me, no one will enter this mansion, not even any other prince." After this, Ethan quickly goes inside. Inside too, all people were lying wounded. Coming in, Ethan sees that here, one man has run a sword through an officer's chest. Ethan immediately comes and defeats that man, and before that man can eat poison, he shuts his mouth too. Just then, more companions of that man arrive, and together they attack Ethan. But Ethan defeats them all. In a little while, Rupert also arrives and tells Ethan that these intruders have killed all those conspirator people who were kept captive. Ethan understands that these are all Sebastian's people. And after this, Ethan himself wounds himself with a sword and says, "Everyone should know that these people did this to me, and the punishment for attacking a crown prince is death, so kill all of them as soon as possible." After this, Ethan's treatment happens, and in a little while, Rupert comes and tells that those 4 intruders have been eliminated, and Ethan did all this so that chaos doesn't spread in the empire. The next day, the king calls Ethan to meet him. Knowing everything, the king asks, "Did those people really wound you? Were they really that capable?" Ethan tells, "No, they weren't that powerful, but I was a bit disturbed at that time, so I couldn't make the right decisions." The king says, "I'm truly proud of you. I wish my other children were also like you." After this, the king brings Ethan to the balcony with him. The king says, "Do you know Ethan? Many times after giving people big responsibilities, those people can't live up to those responsibilities." Ethan says in his mind, since the king has handled the throne, peace and calm has prevailed throughout this entire empire. But if everyone got to know about that rebellion, people would badmouth the king everywhere, that the king couldn't even handle his own children, then how would he handle this entire empire? And for this very reason, the king has suppressed this crown prince matter so that he can save his reputation. After this, Ethan says, "Your Majesty, I want to ask you a favor. You've made me, Harry, and Felix minister princes, which has happened for the first time in history till now. So it's possible that some people might take this in the wrong way. So it would be good if you appoint one person to keep all of us in coordination. Someone who is above all 3 of us. Some such prince who gets the status of prime minister prince. And I think you should choose the crown prince for this role." But the king clearly refuses for this and says, "You must be quite tired. Go and rest." But Ethan says, "For the last 30 years, my eldest brother has been the crown prince. I can understand why he has become so impatient." The king says, "But if, after becoming prime minister prince, he plays his tricks and doesn't let any important matter reach me?" So Ethan says, "Then for this, you just need to make a new rule that all of us prince ministers can directly talk to you about any report." Friends, by this happening, the crown prince would get the title of prime minister prince, but he would have no power in it. And the king likes this very much. He agrees to this, and after this, keeping his hand on Ethan's head, he says, "It's truly quite a shameful thing that you weren't born first. How about I give you a reward for such a good proposal? But money won't work this time." After this, the king brings Ethan to a place. We've seen the king at this place many times before. The king says, There are quite a lot of special items here. You can choose anything for yourself. Now Ethan starts searching through Seraphina for a good item, after which Ethan comes to an item, and opening that item, fire comes out of it, which surrounds Ethan. And in the flames of fire, Ethan starts burning. Friends, these flames of fire are like Seraphina's, a strange kind of monster power. This power attacks Ethan, but Ethan defeats it through Seraphina. And after that, this power also becomes Ethan's slave. The king and the crew are shocked to see that Ethan has made this power his own so easily. The king says, "You chose Luthier without any hesitation. Commendable, would you like to test this power's strength?" And after this, we see that at another place, Ethan attacks himself with Luthier's fire, but here, Seraphina's power saves him from that fire. Friends, Seraphina is slightly more powerful than Luthier, and seeing Ethan's this capability, the king is also stunned and then says, "From today, Luthier's power is yours. Use it for the Empire's welfare." Ethan says, "Yes, absolutely." After this, we get to know that in the Empire, the Emperor himself decides every big thing, whether it's domestic affairs or diplomatic affairs or the imperial family's private internal affairs. After this, we see that the king's younger brother, Graeme Ararat, has sent the king a personal letter. We get to know that Graeme's son is oppressing the people of his domain where he rules quite a lot, to the extent that in a drunken state during an argument, he has also killed a man. And to cover his fault, his father Graeme wants to give a fine in exchange for his crime, and the compensation money is 300 run, which is a very huge amount. Ethan says, "But the crime was committed by their son, not by them. We can't accept this money from them." The king says, "We should think about this. This amount is quite big, and you know how much money is necessary to maintain peace throughout the kingdom." But Ethan says, "But if we accept money like this, it will have a wrong effect on people. They'll feel that by giving money, they can escape any crime. This will increase corruption in the Empire a lot, and even if the Empire needs funds, collecting funds in this way won't be right." The king is so impressed by Ethan's clever mind that here he makes Ethan his premier advisor. And after this, Ethan gives the king a proposal that, how about if people give us money, but not to escape any punishment, but to increase their honor. For example, whoever donates 1,000 run to the Empire, they will get the honor of a knight. Just think, your majesty. How many people would be interested in getting this fortune from you? The king likes this idea very much, and after this, he sends an order for Felix to come here. As soon as he knows this, Ethan asks the king's permission to leave from here because he didn't want to interfere in his brother Felix's work. Then as soon as Ethan comes outside, he sees that many officials are looking at that pit which happened when Ethan had faced Lotharier's fire. By the way, several people have also fallen because of this pit, so Ethan gives some money to a man named Jiju for the compensation of those people who fell in this pit. And here we see that Jiju is taking beetles for the 16th prince because he likes watching beetle fights very much. By the way, he's only 3 years old. After this, sitting in his horse carriage, Ethan was thinking about this very thing, after which he summoned Seraphina and Luthier, and these two's mini versions start fighting here. Ethan was learning things watching their fight. Here, Seraphina defeats Luthier. Friends, here, the meat named GG with Ethan enjoyed this fight a lot. So Ethan now makes these two fight again, and just then we see that Ethan's level goes from 1 to 2. In the next scene, we see that Ethan is making them fight like this, and in today's battle, Luthier defeats Seraphina. And after this, we get to know that Clara has also learned some magical techniques in this time, and she uses them on Ethan, from which Ethan's level ups again. And friends, Ethan's level up happened so quickly because his Luthier and Seraphina were fighting each other and increasing their power. Ethan here has understood that if he has to level up as soon as possible, he'll need even more magical items like this. Just then, 4th Prince Harry arrives, and here Harry puts one thing forward and says, "The monster nest has grown big. The time for your first battle has come, and opening this box will tell Ethan how many soldiers Ethan should take with him in this first campaign." After this, when Ethan does so, he gets a slip on which it was written, "Only one," meaning for this, Ethan alone is enough. And seeing this, Harry says in shock, "You are truly amazing." Now at night when Ethan was reading, someone comes to meet him, who has brought a message for Ethan from the king, and this is Mr. Gareth, and Ethan treats him with a bow, because friends, whoever brings a message from the king should be treated with the same respect as the king. Friends, the king has ordered that Ethan's first campaign is postponed for some time, and after giving this order, Gareth bows in front of Ethan. After this, Ethan asks why was it postponed. Gareth tells it's because of that message which the mystery box had given to Ethan. The king wants Ethan's first campaign to be at ground level. In the next scene, Ethan comes to the shopkeeper to know whether he has any such magic item which has its own will. He tells that he doesn't have any such item, after which Ethan gives him money and says, "If you get to know about any such item, contact me. By the way, I'll give you even more reward. Now, after coming from there, Serafina asks, why did you give him so much money? He didn't do anything for you. Before Ethan can say something, we see a man who is beating another man, and that too because the item he wanted to buy was already reserved by some other customer, but just then Ethan comes there and stops him. That man recognizes Ethan and tells him that he is a member of Prince Gilbert's household whose name is Donovan. Ethan says, what you're doing here is wrong. Donovan says, Prince, you must know that people who are members of any household, only one crime applies to them. That is of rebellion. Ethan understands Donovan's words very well. That's why he says, that's fine, but why are you standing in front of me and talking? Before Donovan can understand, Serafina catches Donovan. After this, Donovan is tied with a rope. Here, there were many people who hated Donovan. Ethan says, you dare to stand in front of me. You will be punished for this. After this, he gets beaten so much that he dies. After which Ethan says, make the report exactly as I told. After this, we see that Ethan comes to Gilbert's palace wearing handcuffs. To apologize to him, to receive Ethan, Gilbert's butler Coyle comes. After this, Ethan meets first Prince Gilbert. Gilbert says, a mere man of my household had the courage to stand in front of a prince. He had to get his punishment, but you don't need to consider yourself too wrong. I had thrown him out of my household long ago because he did wrong things, and instead of being angry at you, I should thank you. You saved my reputation from the wrong use of my name. By the way, I also praise your wisdom. I've understood why the king made you Minister of Justice. After this, while leaving from here, Ethan says, my brother may have looked calm, but he was quite furious. But at this time, he couldn't show his displeasure to me because at this time the king is quite fond of me and because Ethan had made a mistake. Being a younger brother, he immediately apologized to Gilbert, and being an elder brother, Gilbert had to forgive him even if he didn't want to. After this, the next morning in Ethan's mansion, someone comes to meet Ethan. Oliver tells that man has come from the Ministry of Imperial Household. And after this, we meet that man. His name is Dr. Oates. This tells Ethan that seeing your wisdom yesterday, I was very impressed. That's why I want to work under you. Dr. Oates here convinces Ethan. Ethan agrees to his words, after which Dr. Oates leaves from there. Ethan says, Oliver, keep an eye on this man. And with this part ends. So comment and tell me, did you like this part? And I know that I'm quite late because my cursed exams were going on. By the way, exams are over, and as soon as their result comes, I'll also be finished. But whatever it is, if you like this video, then do like it and hype it up. I'll meet you soon in a new video.